Peace. This is the Time Map series. We are at part 4. We're going to dive into the path to expand into timelessness. I term this stellar reclamation. I'm Janan Derso, ready to guide you into vertical time. We're going to switch from the horizontal earth plane, where we are seemingly in chaotic stress at a pace directly related to a desperate need to know time, into the pillar of light, from the heavens to the earth, which is vertically placed, connecting your right mind to the divine mind. In vertical time, you can tap into the galaxy's timelessness. And I use this term galaxy as a metaphor for your mind, but also as an illustration of the cosmos. Eternity is on the other side of the chaos of time. Do you have to wait until you're fully liberated from the equation to experience timelessness? No, of course not. It's found at the fulcrum of infinity, accessible through prayer. Here's a quote from A Course in Miracles that really helps me set the stage for this session on time. Look up and see his word among the stars, where he has set your name along with his. Look up and find your certain destiny the world would hide, but God would have you see. It is through your personal connection to divinity that you can step into this vision of time in natural rhythm, which is not linked to the ego of the Gregorian calendar. Rather, rhythm is the language of divinely orchestrated movement. The celestial timekeepers, the sun and moon, translate the cosmic movements so you can hear your divine instructions with optimal prosperity. The view from Earth can either trap you or restore balance. That's why the Earth is key to the elemental cosmic integration. I propose we orient towards the Sun, Moon, and Earth cycles for different purposes in a clockwise movement for a more natural pace with time. The universe is set in motion with the Earth and all the planets rotating around the Sun counterclockwise. The Moon also rotates around the Earth counterclockwise. Now, I don't mimic this pattern because it reinforces the harmful story of ownership and separateness that was injected into our history. This pervasive thinking is counterintuitive. In fact, it obeys the ego's instructions of desire and impulse. Instead, I see our role as a reflection of the celestial movement, which is a holy cipher. So if you want to break the curse of your ego or someone dominating your time, you can unwind from the feeling or perception of separateness. To enter oneness and end the abandonment story, I reflect the wisdom of the counterclockwise celestial movement by experiencing it clockwise on Earth. You can think of a ball of yarn, messy, chaotic, and unorganized. And when you pull on a thread, it is stuck. But once you find an end, you can rewrap the yarn to form a ball with clockwise motion. Let's rewrap the celestial light patterns of astrology and reclaim the stellar moments. Now, the yarn can be useful to weave a blanket. The blanket can offer warmth, protection, and even be a symbol of love. How do we see time and furthermore celestial movement as a clockwise moment, as a symbol of divine love instead of separation from divinity? This wisdom is a holy cipher instructing us to grow clockwise, not counterclockwise, in the reflection of love. When you see this holy cipher to unwind from time, you can translate the celestial movements. Now, I do not worship or idolize the sun, moon, or earth. Rather, I share how to apply their placements, moving through the 14 main constellations to reclaim the present sky time. These are time-counting tools to expand time and fulfill justice on Earth. Next, I'm going to clarify the function, role, and fluorescence for the Earth, Sun, Moon, stars in this course of curriculum. Celestial bodies are a vehicle of their function, role, speed, which we'll get to in our next session, and fluorescence. The Holy Spirit uses time to teach us, or whoever is on your spiritual team. I'm using this term Holy Spirit as a spirit of communication from God, but please insert a word that you use to name this divine communication energy. So this is what I'm using to teach time. While on Earth, you can use all of the pieces of separateness in order to remember your divine purpose here. We do have to change the narrative, redefine words, and behold new translations of old stories. So let's clarify these terms. Function. Now, this is the nature of purpose or the natural purpose of something. Role. Now, this is the part played in the whole system or its job. These two we're very familiar with, function and role. Now is this term fluorescence, which very briefly is like the essence of energy given off. It's the flowing energy emitted into a being. And when added with celestial energy, it flows through something in light, hence illuminated by another source, like the sun or the original light giver. So this new term is very different from the scientific term. So I'm making the distinction here around fluorescence from the scientific word into this fluorescence as a word I'm making up to describe the essence of the object, like the stars or the sun or the moon. And it's similar to the word essence in that it highlights what's most vital, and it adds the word esse, which means being in Latin, and then fluor, which means flowing in Latin, right? So we bring that together to talk about the essence or energy given off. Let me give you a story to illustrate these terms. It's a simple story of a speed limit sign that says 25 degrees in this, rather 25 miles per hour. So if you walk by this 25 mile per hour speed limit sign in a neighborhood, there's a function of the sign, and that's to carry or hold order so roads aren't chaotic, right? The role of the sign is to maintain speed so people drive a certain way. The fluorescence of the sign is safety, right? It's the energy it exudes. There's a collective decision about the speed being appropriate for cars to respond with enough time to stop if a child or animal runs out in the road, while still maintaining enough speed to move through the roads at a certain pace. The sign isn't alive. I don't pray to the sign, nor the maker of the sign, yet its function allows for order rather than chaos. Its role assigns a job or a moral code of conduct. The fluorescence of the sign sends us a message, right? You can choose to receive the message and abide by it, or you can choose to go faster or slower and disregard the fluorescence, the message. Faster would have certain natural consequences. You could endanger someone or yourself. And I'm using this inanimate object in order to illustrate that everything holds energy because it takes up space and carries intention by its maker. Notice I didn't say creator, right? So let's examine the celestial bodies and satellites through these three lenses. All right, planet Earth. The Earth holds life. Can all agree that? The Earth is receiving the light from sun in a spatial relationship of 180 degrees at all times from each other. Those who live on Earth are unified in this human ship, we'll call it. And so you might think that God made the earth or biology made the earth, and I'm not going to debate that right now. Either way, here we are. The earth is our common place of origin to unify around time. To move humanity forward in a collective energy, the earth syncs us in with the cosmos and each other. The elements support us to live through the energetics animated in our bodies, thoughts, and expressions. So in this course, the function of the earth is to support you. So here's the ways it supports you. First, to be a place for the divine light pillar. That's what I was just explaining about moving from the horizontal to the vertical shift. Second, it grounds you into God's divine plan for you. Third, it commits to a daily practice, holding your compass and your map if you so choose. Fourth, it's a place to heal the separation and abandonment story. So this is the function of the earth for the purpose of this course. The role of the earth in this course is to grow and to give love. Okay, so to grow on earth personally and in your life's curriculum. Each of us have a different life story. This is where we're meant to grow, right? to grow metaphorically, so plant-wise in your life's garden. We are specifically growing as spiritual beings. And then the second part, to give love. I really believe that we are here to restore paradise through submitting our personal will, the impulse, to God's will for all humanity. I love the phrase, "Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven," because this allows us to see that there is something so much bigger happening outside of our personal will. Now, the Earth is moving through space, and when the Earth is in a constellation, it lends us divine information for our nervous system to heal from old wounds and respond differently as a way of restoring this true pattern of love. It's a place to call all parts of ourselves home and access our highest self. This is the role of Earth in this course. Now, the fluorescence of the Earth in this course, the energy that it's giving off, is to maintain connection in vertical alignment with God's will, listening in reverence to hear the divine voice, to change your individual pace and global life experience through the integration of intentional natural rhythm into each day, to harness elemental support, then slow down to receive them, as in the teaching of as above, so below. And the last fluorescence is to make time for more connection and love, right? We're expanding time, more time. So now we're going to move into the function of the sun for this course, right? It's both literal light and metaphysical light. Here's another quote: "Let there be light," one we are so familiar with, "so that we may see God's divine plan and our place in it." We need to have this metaphysical light in order to step out of the darkness of our own prison. We're also looking at the light of day so that we can confidently walk around the earth, right? So we're not stumbling around in the dark. The sun is also plays the function of heat, as in warmth from cold. It's also for energy, vitality of movement, vitamins, and life-giving principles. For without the sun, we would perish on earth. These are the function. Now the role. The role is the vision of the way forward, and I do not mean eyesight, I mean vision. So we use a calendar to track time in a 365-day cycle. The role of the sun is influential for this purpose of seasonal rhythm and the concept of light and dark, right? There are certain seasons where there's a balance, certain seasons where we have more light and less light in our day. Now, the fluorescence of the sun is freedom. So we find freedom in a few ways. It's the illumination to see the divine plan. Freedom from your personal will to step into the divine will, to see it as a visionary. It's enlightenment as a way to spiritual practice through the mind's alignment. When we come into this vertical alignment, you have the freedom to find enlightenment. And now this one is perhaps a little more controversial because some people see the sun as masculine and the moon as feminine. Now, I believe both of these come from within, that there's an internal essence to find the harmony of these two. However, the fluorescence of the sun does show us how the divine masculine holds a certain energy pattern. And it is clearly different from the divine feminine movements reflected in the moon. So I understand this relationship and I'm addressing it here. You still have the freedom, that's the fluorescence of the sun, to choose. Now, this is a quote from the Medicine of the Stars. We're moving from the sun into the moon, and this is why. If we didn't have the moon, we would be deeply affected. The sun's rays give life, drawing up the growing forms upon the earth so that they can stand upright and grow towards the sun. The moon's rays give growth and fructification. This is because the currents from the sun flow perpendicular to the earth, and those from the moon flow horizontally. A plant exposed to the sun and not the moon will not produce fruit and seeds. So this is so important to understand that if plants need both the sun and the moon for growth and the ability to make fruit, then so do we. So let's step into the function of the moon. It's to serve the Earth's waters, right? The moon lacks water. So it stays in this gravitational, rotational, tidal lock because it's still a part of Earth. And furthermore, from the science of biodynamics, the constellation of the moon affects the plant's growth and thus human growth. So how each element supports you shifts with who you are and what's going on in your life and assists with your cosmic attunement. The function of the moon is also to regulate the menses cycle. The feminine menses rhythm has 13 moon cycles reflected in 13 months in a reclaimed year. The role of the moon, again, is a calendar. Much like the sun's role as a calendar, the moon's role tracks that 28-day cycle. And it allows anyone to receive the flow of a 28-day cycle with these internal insights of the moon phases. We can use the moon's placement during the day and night for tracking an external map to the internal landscape. Now, the fluorescence of the moon, we're going to go deeper here, is for equality. We all receive it equally. And it's also for reflection. You can watch the progression of the phases and listen for information from God on your inner alignment. Moonlight is the moon's fluorescence, therefore. Moonlight represents the prophets. And when the sun isn't visible, there is still light and guidance from above. Like you are never alone without one to counsel and guide you in your life. Now, the history of the moon, I have read this story from Dr. Ava Muhammad's book, Deportation of Moon, that resonated deeply. She says that the moon was once a part of Earth, and it is what's left of the old continent of Atlantis, I believe, that this large portion of Atlantis projected out into space. It still sits pulling a little away each year as a reminder of the law of God. That God instructs the solar system and not to deviate from God's will. It fits into the events in this timeline around 6,000 years ago, highlighting the moment of separation of the moon from Earth. Some say when Mu or Lumeria sunk into the ocean or even into the core of the Earth, that it is also an origin of separation. What if this separating event is the timing of the big separation from our divine source? And though it may not matter to pinpoint the beginning of our abandonment story, it also may. And so this fracture in our collective history occurred so vast that a part of us became a satellite just close enough to reach, but far enough to seem completely distinguished. The Earth and Moon maintain this connection of water as an intertidal lock, significant that it influences this plant growth from a distance. Perhaps there is a key to restoring wholeness here. And so if you'd have this goal of healing self-abandonment or being abandoned by someone, here's the way to close the wound, right? We don't need to have hurt people hurt people. When you're hurt, you can choose not to follow an instinctual urge to hurt another. Train your mind to breathe into love. Offer the blessing to transform the impulse. Can we think good thoughts for someone? Can this be the cure to the poison? Can we re-enter and restore the pattern of love, of oneness? This choice to stop abandoning, I go much deeper into with the pattern of Cetus, because this is the role of the cosmos. And this is the last part we're going to look at, the function of the stars. It is to dispel darkness through wisdom. The function of the constellations show up for how you can align each day energetically, optimally. It's also to teach us the patterns of holiness by restoring fractures in the sequence. The stars in the visible sky, the present day sky, includes at least 14 main constellations. And each constellation is its actual size, not 30 degrees. The role of the stars is to track the movement of time as a daily calendar. The stars align prayer and action steps with cosmic elemental support. Their role is to share more information on what you can do to harness cosmic energy and heal from separation. So this is another calendar, a daily calendar. There's certain activities that lead to the greatest fruition during a specific constellation duration. The fluorescence of the stars is justice. The stars bear witness to your life's garden. The stars help us make sense of what's happening. They connect us to all that is on earth that is in heaven. We've had mythological stories serve certain people in time from Egypt to Greece and beyond. You get to decide what serves you now to find justice in your life, and how can your healing impact those around you. The celestial heavens and earth offer us their function, role, speed, and fluorescence as a form of returning to oneness. They serve us in understanding time until we return to timelessness. And now we don't want to get too caught up in these details. This is a session about it. It's more important to integrate your life lessons, to elevate into vertical time, because that's where it ceases to hold form, function, role, and fluorescence. So for the purpose of this curriculum, I bring up time as a teaching aid. It's just here for a purpose, and you decide to use it to heal or to harm. The potential in this statement is profound because it allows you to access creation with Creator. So let's move you into how to just do that. In our next session, we're going to dive deeper into the movements of the sun, the moon, and the elements as a daily calendar. If you're ready to get started, I do share all 3 cosmic calendars in my app, Be Biodynamic. It translates the date and time of the Gregorian calendar into the elemental expression. I share these natural movements of time so that you can find personal peace and harmony instead of stress and overwhelm. You can find the app in the link below. It's at Be Biodynamic. The next step would be to watch the time map video part 5, on the co-creation and speed of time. Or just go ahead and get started with the app. Peace, love, more time.